Hello, readers. Welcome back to Quarantine Literacy. This week, we are talking about imagination. That wonderful, incredible, magical thing that we all have inside ourselves. No one can take it away. No one can give it to us. It isn't something you have to buy. There aren't different pieces or parts or gadgets. It's just all here in your brain and your heart. So it's something that you can access at any time, anywhere, with anyone. You can play imaginative games with your family or your friends, or you can go off like I asked you to yesterday and just find a magical world all on your own. Because that's the beautiful thing about using your imagination, is that it can take you away from where you are and bring you to a magical land. Today we're going to talk about a group of kids who use their imagination to take them to a magical, amazing world called Roxaboxen. And this is written by Alice McLaren, illustrated by Barbara Cooney. And this is actually the author based this story on the story that her mother used to tell her. She lived in Arizona in the desert, and she and her friends created this whole magical town called Roxaboxen. And so this is sort of a retelling of that magical time when her mother was a child. Marion called it Roxaboxen. She always knew the name of everything. There across the road, it looked like any rocky hill, nothing but sand and rocks, some old wooden boxes, cactus and greasewood and thorny ocotillo, but it was a special place. The street between Roxaboxen and the houses curved like a river, so Marion named it the River Road. After that, you had to ford a river to reach Roxaboxen. So it was just a place in the desert, nothing special, but you'll see that the kids use their imagination to turn it into something very special. Of course, all of Marion's sisters came, Anna May and Frances and little Jean, Charles from next door, even though he was 12, and Eleanor, naturally, and Jamie with his brother Paul. Later on, there were others, but these were the first. Well, not really the first. Roxaboxen had always been there and must have belonged to others long before. Here they are beginning their imaginative play. They're starting to think about this world of Roxaboxen. When Marion dug up a tin box filled with round black pebbles, everyone knew what it was. It was a buried treasure. Those pebbles were the money of Roxaboxen. You could still find others like them if you looked hard enough. So some days became treasure hunting days, with everybody trying to find that special kind. And then on other days, you might just find one without even looking. A town of Roxaboxen began to grow, traced in lines of stone. Main Street first, edged with the whitest ones, and then the houses. Charles made his of the biggest stones. After all, he was the oldest. At first the houses were very plain, but soon they all began to add rooms. The old wooden boxes could be shelves or tables or anything you wanted. You could find pieces of pottery for dishes. Round pieces were best. So now we can see everyone's beginning to build their own little Roxaboxen house. Later on, there was a town hall. Marion was mayor, of course. That was just the way she was. Nobody minded. Look at that. They've got a flag and a sign that says mayor. Boy, they really are using their imagination, right? They made these roads out of stones, and they found those little black pebbles and decided they were money. And they made houses out of old boxes. After a while, they added other streets. Frances moved to one of them and built herself a new house outlined in desert glass. Bits of amber, amethyst, and sea green. A house of jewels. Wow, look at that beautiful house. Full of just sea glass or desert glass. And because everybody had plenty of money, there were plenty of shops. Jean helped Anna May in the bakery. Pies and cakes and bread baked warm in the sun. There were 2 ice cream parlors. Was Paul's ice cream the best or Eleanor's? Everybody kept trying them both. In Roxaboxen, you can eat all the ice cream you want. Everybody had a car. All you needed was something round for a steering wheel. Of course, if you broke the speed limit, you had to go to jail. The jail had cactus on the floor to make it uncomfortable, and Jamie was the policeman. Anna May, quiet little Anna May, was always speeding. You'd think she liked to go to jail. So there they are, there's the kids driving around with their steering wheels and their pretend cars that they're making up in their imagination. And there's the police officer, and there's the girl in jail, and they've just labeled the cactus jail. But if you had a horse, you could go as fast as the wind. There were no speed limits for horses, and you didn't have to stay on the roads. All you needed for a horse was a stick and some kind of bridle, and you could gallop anywhere. Looks like they have pieces of ocotillo cactus. Sometimes there were wars. Once there was a great war. Boys against girls. Charles and Marion were the generals. The girls had Fort Irene, and they were all Girl Scouts. The boys made a fort at the other end of Roxaboxen, and they were all bandits. Oh, the raids were fierce, loud with whoop, 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 whooping and the stamping of horses. The whirling swords of ocotillo had sharp thorns, but when you reached your fort, you were safe. Roxaboxen had a cemetery in case anyone died, but the only grave in it was for a dead lizard. Each year when the cactus bloomed, they decorated the grave with flowers. It just says lizard. Sometimes in the winter when everybody was at school and the weather was bad, no one went to Roxaboxen at all. Not for weeks and weeks. But it didn't matter. Roxaboxen was always waiting. Roxaboxen was always there. And spring came, and the ocotillo blossomed, and everybody sucked the honey from its flowers, and everybody built new rooms, and everybody decided to have jeweled windows. That summer, there were 3 new houses on the east slope and 2 new shops on Main Street. And so it went. The seasons changed, and the years went by. Roxaboxen was always there. Remember, when you're using your imagination, no one can take that away from you. Roxaboxen could change locations even if they wanted, right? It's just all exists in their imagination. The years went by, and the seasons changed, until at last the friends had all grown tall. And one by one, they moved away to other houses, to other towns. So you might think that was the end of Roxaboxen. But oh no, because none of them ever forgot Roxaboxen. Not one of them ever forgot. Years later, Marion's children listened to stories of that place and fell asleep dreaming dreams of Roxaboxen. Gray-haired Charles picked up a black pebble on the beach and stood holding it, remembering Roxaboxen. More than 50 years later, Frances went back, and Roxaboxen was still there. She could see the white stones bordering Main Street, and where she had built her house, the desert glass still glowed, amethyst, amber, and sea green. I just love that book so much because I love the idea of this magical land, and I love that all of these kids came together and created with their imagination this entire city with all of these stories of wars and these shops that they could go into and buy bread and ice cream. What a fabulous way to come together and get creative. So remember, you always have your imagination with you. No one can take that away. And you can use it anytime with anyone. So tonight, here is your challenge. Find someone or multiple people, depending on what your situation is at home. It can be parents, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, siblings. It can be anyone who is there with you. And come up with a game. It can't be a game like a board game, right? It can't be like Monopoly or something. You got to come up with your own game using your imagination. And you can use things, right? They used plants and rocks and boxes and stones. You can use items around your house to create different things like rooms or swords or pies. But you have to use your imagination and come up with an entire story all on your own or in combination with the people that are in your house and create something magical. Okay? Just like all of these kids did for Roxaboxen. Okay, readers, I will see you tomorrow and we will continue our discussion about imagination. Until then, bye.